Part 27, Chapter 53. The freight train was thundering through the flatlands, a diesel engine pulling 3 boxcars with doors on all 4 sides. It was followed by a flat car loaded with oil drums, a boxcar with a satellite dish, a flat car with a Red Cross helicopter lashed securely by cables, and a caboose. Until today, the scariest sensory input Terry had ever experienced was a 3D IMAX movie that she'd seen during a park rangers convention in New York. The second scariest was when she had cabbed to Madison Square Garden the next morning when hockey playoff tickets went on sale. The hack who drove her thought she had wanted to see those Rangers. But today Terry had hitched a dirty, bumpy ride on the back of a truck, had hidden inside a suffocating crate filled with life jackets for a sickening raft ride, and was now holding on to the side ladder of a train that was racing through the hinterlands of God knew where. She assumed that the military would figure out where they were. That being the case, this seemed like the perfect time to slip into the engine and try to overcome whoever was inside. All Terry had going for her was a green belt in jiu-jitsu and the hopefully not overrated element of surprise. As she moved from the ladder to the side door sliding channel to the ladder on the other side, she prayed that was enough. Terry opened the door between the grab irons, twisted the handle, and pulled slowly. She saw 2 men inside. One of them was wearing a trainman's cap. He was looking out the front window, doing nothing. The other was holding a Colt Commando submachine gun. Terry entered cautiously and looked around for something to use as a weapon. She saw a heavy flashlight on the wall. As she reached for it, it came away from the tension hook with a loud ka-ching. Max turned. "Hey, who the hell are you?" Instead of answering, Terry swung the flashlight at him. He ducked, and she hit the trainman on the bridge of his nose. He fell, dazed. Max used the butt of his gun to knock the flashlight away. As Terry stepped back and assumed her fighting position, right arm cocked back hard in chamber, left fist raised shoulder high, Max stepped in fast with his gun butt. He faked towards her chest, then jabbed towards her knee, and she hit it back with a knee kick. But standing on one leg in the rattling train caused her to lose her balance. As she stumbled to the right, Max nailed her on the left side of the head with the gun butt. She dropped straight to the engine floor. "Thought I was just a choo-choo Charlie, huh?" Max leered as he moved in on her. He held his thumb up. "Well, Cynthia Rothrock, it so happens that I was a Navy SEAL. 3 tours of duty. You should see what I can do with just one itty-bitty finger." Terry's left ear was singing, but she was alert enough to realize that she had landed on the flashlight. Her right hand was underneath her. Wrapping her fingers around the light, she whipped it out and flung it in the same swift motion. The battery-heavy rear end caught Max square in the forehead, and he dropped next to the trainman. Terry got back to her feet. "Yeah?" she said triumphantly. "Well, Mr. SEAL, you should see what I can do with just a chicken." As Terry walked towards the far side of the compartment, Max made a sudden grab for her left ankle. With a shout, she brought her right heel down, hard on his wrist, and he withdrew it with a yelp. She snatched up the Colt, rose, and pointed it down at him. "Are we finished playing yet?" Terry asked. Max touched his bloody forehead. He nodded. Terry stole a glance at the trainman. He appeared to be down for the count. "Do you know how to operate this train?" she asked. Max nodded. "Good, because I want you to stop it." "Fuck you," he said. Terry drew back the Colt's hammer. "I've had a rough day. Now, either you're going to stop this goddamn train, or you'll be playing a harp, SEAL." Max got on his knees. Okay, you win, he said. He touched his forehead gingerly. Just let me take care of this. Before Terry could say anything, Max reached into his pocket and withdrew a handkerchief. Suddenly, the white cloth fell away, and Max lunged at her with a switchblade. She didn't try to knock it away. There wasn't time. Instead, she fired at his chest. Max didn't fly back like in the movies. He fell forward, twisting onto his side, the knife falling from his hand. If he made a sound, she didn't hear it because of the noise of the train. His eyes moved from side to side for a moment. He gasped for a few seconds. Then he went limp and his eyes shut. Terry's lower lip trembled and she dropped to her knees. She set the gun down. There wasn't a choice. She told herself. This man was going to kill her. Still, she had killed some mother's child, and that made her want to vomit. She looked away, and as she did so, she saw the brake and accelerator levers. She walked over to the levers on her knees. Focus, she told herself. You still have a job to do. As she tried to determine which was which, she realized that it didn't matter. She then understood why the train man had been standing there doing nothing. There were large globs of solid metal along their bases. Both levers had been welded into place. The train could not be stopped. Chapter 54. A hatch opened on the roof of the boxcar next to the flat car, and Deakins climbed halfway out. He looked at the small microwave dish next to the hatchway and grinned. You do think of everything, he thought. He cast his eyes skyward. There were no choppers, no air force, no hail. No clue, he thought with satisfaction as he ducked back inside. Even if the Air Force had already found the truck, they would be too late to stop what he had set in motion. It had all worked out just as it was supposed to do. Max had conked out a bunch of yokel engineers and stolen the train for him, and the engineer they'd hired had showed up right on schedule. After the bomb had been transferred, along with the chicken crates, just in case they were stopped by some yokel trooper or railroad cop for some dumb shit inspection, Max had driven the truck with its decoy to St. George, hired a driver, and joined them using the motorcycle he'd left at the diner earlier. Shepard had welded the controls in the engine so the train couldn't be stopped. The bottom line, all the hard work and planning, all the clandestine calls from Whiteman payphones with pocketfuls of coins, were about to pay off. Deakins took a moment to enjoy the warm breeze, then ducked back inside. He climbed down the ladder that was attached to the front wall of the boxcar. The two shielded light bulbs were swaying from side to side, making the shadows of the 5 men seem alive. In the other end of the boxcar were the chicken crates. Behind them, slung from its hammock, was the bomb. Shepard was lying on the floor of the boxcar, and his 4 men were playing poker nearby. These vibrations are relaxing as hell, Shepard said to Deakins. You ought to try it. Well, thanks, but no, Deakins said. I bet it's like being back in the womb, Shepard said. Shaking and bobbing like this. That's a deep observation, Deakins said. But let's save further philosophical discussions for the ride to Denmark. I'm not going to Denmark, Shepard said. I'm going to Orlando, Disney World. My loss, Deakins said ingenuously. He looked up at the sky and wondered why all the flunkies, in fiction and in real life, had the IQ of toast. Even those who were technically and militarily proficient, like Shepard, were missing some key ingredients. As his nephew Wayne would have said, the state of affairs was both bogus and sad. "When's dust off?" Shepard inquired. Deakins looked at his watch. 15 minutes, so I suggest you all... He stopped. "We all what?" Shepard said. "Shh!" Deakins hissed. "Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" Deakins walked back to the ladder. He climbed and stuck his head through. After a moment, he hopped down the ladder backward. "It sounded like a gunshot," Deakins said. He grabbed a walkie-talkie from one of the men and clicked it on. "Max," he said, "is everything all right?" Silence. "Max," Deakins repeated, "call in." Nothing. Deakins swore. He snatched his automatic from where it was leaning against one of the chicken crates. "I'm going up front," he said. "If everything's okay, I'll blow the whistle once." "What if it isn't okay?" Shepard asked. "Then I won't blow it at all," Deakins said. "Now listen, even if someone has gotten on board, we're still all right. We were going to Radio Washington anyway. At this point, we pretty much expected the genius is there to figure out where we are. But as long as we've got the bomb and can activate it, we're still in control. Got that?" The men nodded, several of them half-heartedly. Deakins felt as if he were back in the ring with Hale, trying to teach him to fight. If he didn't need these guys, he would have shot them where they stood. "Trust me," said the Major. "I haven't steered you wrong so far. Think about how you'll live it up when you're each worth 3 million. He looked at Shepard. "Think of all the rides you can take at Epcot." "Yeah, okay," said Shepard. Deakins headed towards the ladder. "You know the code," he said to Shepard. "If you don't hear the whistle, arm the bomb and head for the chopper. I'll meet you there." Shepard nodded as Deakins climbed through the hatch and hurried towards the front of the speeding train.